I want to welcome back Dr. Lee Richardson, who has a doctorate. She's a PhD in psychology, founder of the Brain for Performance Center. Welcome back, Dr. Richardson. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So this is an intriguing headline. Swearing linked to increased pain tolerance and strength. Well, I swear quite a bit, so maybe my pain tolerance is better than I realize. How did you figure this one out, and what does it say about swearing?
Well, I'm in Dallas, Texas, and when we think about Dallas, Texas, what do we think about? The Cowboys. And excessive swearing does
I think
occur.
I think about the North Stars. I'm a hockey fan, so that's what I think about.
Okay. Well,
Are you talking about
now.
Are you talking about the football team that's almost as bad as the Patriots at this point?
Well, now you're going to make me swear if you keep talking like that.
Kidding. Go ahead.
No, but swearing evokes emotion. And there's studies that show that swearing actually reduces pain. And that's because it induces that fight, flight, or freeze that occurs in our body. When something happens and we're not sure how to deal with it, kicks in that autonomic nervous system. Maybe it kicks in those adrenal glands. We start kicking out all that cortisol. We get that adrenaline rush, and it's confusing. Do we fight? Do we flight? Or do we freeze?
Yeah. So that there have been studies that show that if let's say we stub our toe, and as opposed to saying, "Oh, cornflakes," we say something a little more interesting. What you're saying is that when that anger hits you, "Oh, I stubbed my toe again." You know what I could have said there, that would have taken our mind off the pain and focused on our frustration. Is that really what you're talking about?
Absolutely, because
Good.
You have to think about how the brain works. People remember those taboo words better than they do neutral words that don't really mean much. And when we stub our toe or when something happens that we don't like, we go into that fight or flight mode, and just whatever comes out, comes out. And I have clients that I work with, and I think swearing is a way of emotional expression.
Yes, it is. And also it said swearing indicates or is linked to increased strength. How would that be?
Well, it's interesting because working in the brain performance world, I've worked with people that suffer from seizures and epilepsy. And when that brain gets into that dysregulated state, the body kicks in. The body provides the survival techniques. I had a 9-year-old that the dad jumped on me and the 9-year-old and said, "Hang on, Lee. He's going into a seizure, and he's going to throw you across that room." Okay, I'm hanging tight, man.
Yeah. Wow.
So, one thing I think that we tend to forget about a lot is that the brain and the body, it's one unit. It's not the brain upstairs and the body downstairs. The body keeps score of everything going on in the brain. And it's interesting to me because research also shows that swearing alleviates not only physical pain, but social pain as well.
That's not a bad idea. When I was a teenager, there was a fellow who was a baseball player who I respected a great deal. He was an outfielder for the Yankees. I'm not going to tell you his name, but knew him pretty well. And we were talking one day, and he said to me, "Have you started to swear?" He was a very decent guy, and I said, "Not really." And he said, "Well, he says, when I need to swear, he says, I just say ice cubes." And he said, "That would be a good habit for you to develop." Well, I said ice cubes probably for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. But then I eventually gave way to the more interesting words. And I wish in retrospect that I had followed his advice. Because it would be great if you had the discipline, the mental discipline, which he had, and he got it. I admire him for it. And ice cubes. So maybe I'll try in my later years here to make up for it and start just saying ice cubes when I get mad or get frustrated. Dr. Richardson, thank you for explaining it, and you explained it really well, and it makes me feel less guilty for all the swears I have uttered. But I think I'm going to go back to ice cubes and see
there
if I
you
can
go.
redevelop that. Had you ever heard anything like that by chance? Of just you pick a
Well,
word?
It's interesting because for your listeners that like history, King William of Orange in England, when he spoke to the public, he used his native language, which was French, except for when he was swearing. And he did that in English. So he had his own funky way of saying ice cubes.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, I'll never forget ice cubes, and I'm glad I had a chance to tell you the story. And I thank you very much for being with us, and we'll have you back. Thanks so much, Dr.